On the night of July 12, 2018, the desert highway in Arizona was quiet. Cars passed by only once in a while. A small roadside motel sat under a flickering neon sign. It was not a place people remembered. It was the kind of motel drivers used when they were too tired to keep going. That night, one room would become the center of a mystery. At 9:47 p.m., a woman walked into the motel office. She was in her early 30s. She wore jeans, a dark jacket, and carried a small travel bag. She looked tired, but alert. The front desk clerk later told police that she spoke politely and clearly. She asked for one room, one night. Nothing more. The clerk handed her a key card. Room 15. The woman signed the register. She did not smile. She did not ask about breakfast or checkout time. She only asked one question. Is this place quiet at night? The clerk said yes. Security footage showed her walking toward the parking lot. Her car was a gray sedan with out-of-state plates. She unlocked it, took out her bag, and walked toward room 15. The hallway light buzzed above her. She reached the door. The key card worked on the first try. She went inside. That was the last confirmed image of her alive. Inside room 15, time passed slowly. At 10:05 p.m., her phone connected to the motel Wi-Fi. At 10:19 p.m., she searched for bus routes out of town. At 10:42 p.m., she sent a short text message to an unknown number. I feel unsafe. No reply was ever found. Outside, the motel stayed quiet. A truck driver checked in around 11 p.m. and left again before midnight. A couple argued softly in another room. Nothing seemed out of place. At 11:18 p.m., a loud sound broke the silence. A guest later described it as a hard thump, like something heavy hitting the floor. It came from the direction of room 15. No one called the front desk. No one called the police. In places like this, people mind their own business. After that sound, everything went quiet again. Room 15's door never opened on camera. The hallway camera had a blind spot right near that door. It always had. The motel owner said it was a wiring issue. It had never been fixed. Sometime after midnight, the front desk clerk stepped outside to smoke. He said he saw nothing unusual. No one running. No one yelling. Just the desert wind and the hum of traffic far away. The next morning came. At 8:30 a.m., housekeeping knocked on room 15. There was no answer. She knocked again. Still nothing. Checkout time passed. The gray sedan was still in the parking lot. The Do Not Disturb sign hung neatly on the handle, just as it had the night before. The motel manager unlocked the door. Inside, the room looked almost untouched. The bed was made. The lights were off. The travel bag sat near the chair. Her phone charger was plugged in, but her phone was gone. She had checked into room 15. But somehow, she never checked out. And the question investigators would soon face was simple and terrifying. Morning light revealed nothing new, but investigators knew time mattered. By late morning on July 13, 2018, local police arrived at the motel in Arizona. Yellow tape blocked the narrow hallway. Guests were told to stay inside their rooms. Room 15 became a quiet center of attention. Officers began with the timeline. The woman checked in at 9:47 p.m. She entered room 15 alone. Security cameras showed no exit. Her car never moved. These facts felt simple, yet impossible. Someone does not vanish without a trace. Inside the room, police photographed everything. The bed was smooth, like it had never been used. Towels were folded. The bathroom sink was damp, as if someone had washed their hands. There was no blood, no sign of a fight, and no broken furniture. Her wallet was inside her bag. Her ID was there. Cash and cards were untouched. Only one thing was missing: her phone. Detectives checked the motel Wi-Fi logs. Her phone connected at 10:05 p.m. It searched directions, bus routes, and nearby cities. At 10:42 p.m., a single message was sent. I feel unsafe. After 11:03 p.m., the signal vanished. No calls, no pings, no movement. It was as if the phone stopped existing. Police interviewed the front desk clerk again. He repeated his story. Quiet night. No problems. No visitors asking about room 15. He claimed he heard no loud noise. When asked about the hallway camera blind spot, he shrugged and said it was old equipment. His answers were calm, but detectives noticed he avoided eye contact. Other guests were questioned. A truck driver remembered hearing a dull sound around 11:15 p.m. A couple in room 12 said they heard footsteps running, then silence. Another guest reported a door closing hard, but could not say which room. Each statement alone meant little. Together, they formed a disturbing pattern. Outside, officers examined the parking lot. Her car doors were locked. The trunk was empty. No damage. No signs of struggle. Tire tracks showed no sudden movement. Nothing suggested she left willingly or by force. The motel manager grew nervous as questions continued. He insisted his business was safe. He pushed officers to finish quickly. Records showed he had owned the motel for less than a year. Before him, 2 other owners had run the same place. Maintenance reports were missing. So were some older guest logs. By afternoon, the case shifted from missing person to possible crime. Detectives expanded the search area. Dogs traced a scent from room 15 into the hallway, then stopped. Outside, the trail vanished near the back lot. The desert offered no answers, only heat and dust. As the sun set again, police faced an uncomfortable truth. Every minute that passed made the case colder. Evidence was thin. Witnesses were unsure. And room 15 held its silence. The woman had come here seeking rest or safety. Instead, she disappeared within walls that should have protected her. Investigators left the motel that night with more questions than facts. Detectives knew cases like this often failed early, not because of lack of effort, but because truth hides in small delays. A missing minute. A camera that blinks off. A witness who waits too long. In this motel, those small gaps felt intentional. Someone had time. Someone had access. And someone understood exactly how to disappear a person without leaving noise behind. Police feared the window for answers was closing faster with every silent hour at night. And one question followed them into the dark. Was room 15 the place she chose, or the place someone chose for her? By the 3rd day of the investigation, detectives returned to room 15 with fresh eyes. Early mistakes could not be undone, but details could still speak. The room was quiet, sealed, and cold. Officers believed the truth was hidden in what looked normal. They started with the door. The lock showed no damage. The keycard system confirmed only one entry the night before. No second card was used. That meant if someone entered, they either had access or never used the door at all. Next came the window. It faced the back of the motel, toward an empty dirt lot and a narrow service road. The glass was intact, but the screen was sliced cleanly at the corner. The cut was sharp, careful, and made from the inside. That detail changed everything. If the screen was cut from inside the room, it suggested planning, not panic. Inside the bathroom, investigators noticed faint marks near the sink. They were not blood. They were pressure marks, like fingers gripping porcelain. The mirror had been wiped clean, more clean than the rest of the room. Someone had taken time there. The trash bin held almost nothing. One coffee cup, one tissue, no food wrappers, no makeup wipes, nothing personal. It looked less like a stay and more like a pause. Detectives focused on what was missing. Her shoes were gone. Not packed. Not found. Missing. People do not leave barefoot into the desert at night. That fact alone suggested force or fear. Maintenance staff were questioned next. One worker hesitated before speaking. He admitted room 15 had issues before. The window latch had been loose for months. Management never fixed it. Anyone who knew that could open the window quietly. Police asked who knew. The answer was simple. Staff. Former staff. Anyone who had worked there long enough. A deeper check of motel records revealed something else. Room 15 was rarely used. Guests were often placed elsewhere unless the motel was full. Some staff believed the room was unlucky. Others said nothing, but avoided it. Detectives returned to the security system. The hallway camera cut out for exactly 4 minutes around 11:16 p.m. Not broken, not damaged. Powered off, then back on. Someone knew how to disable it briefly. That discovery turned suspicion inward. The front desk clerk was brought in again. This time, his answers changed. He admitted he stepped away around that time. He said he went to the restroom. When asked why the camera shut off, he had no answer. His hands shook. He asked for water twice. Police also learned the clerk had access to a master key. That key was not logged. Its use left no digital trail. As night fell on the 3rd day, investigators felt the case shift. This was no longer a random disappearance. Too many details lined up. The window, the camera, the missing shoes. Someone inside the motel knew how to make a person vanish without noise. Before leaving, a detective stood alone in room 15. He imagined the final moments. A knock. A voice saying everything was fine. Trust, followed by fear. Silence, followed by control. The detective closed his notebook slowly. He knew one thing was now certain. She did not leave room 15 on her own. And if someone helped her disappear, they were still close enough to watch the investigation unfold, calm and quiet, waiting for police to look the wrong way again. Weeks passed, and the motel slowly returned to normal business. But the investigation did not slow down. Detectives expanded their focus beyond room 15. They believed the answer was not only about one night, but about the motel's past. Patterns often hide where no one wants to look. Police requested guest records from the last 5 years. Many files were missing. Others were incomplete. Names without phone numbers. Stays marked paid in cash. Rooms switched at the last minute. It raised concern. This motel did not follow normal rules. A detective noticed something troubling. 2 years earlier, another woman had checked in alone and later reported items missing from her room. She left early and never filed a full report. Her room number had been changed during check-in. It was originally room 15. Then another case appeared. A traveling salesman who stayed one night, paid cash, and was never heard from again. His car was later found abandoned 50 miles away. Police at the time called it voluntary disappearance. His original reservation also showed room 15, later changed on paper. These details shifted the case from a single crime to a possible series. Detectives interviewed former employees. Some refused to talk. Others shared quiet warnings. One former cleaner said room 15 was always strange. Guests asked to move. Some complained of someone trying the handle at night. Management ignored it. Another worker said the night clerk liked to solve problems his own way. That night clerk still worked there. Police brought him in for a formal interview. This time, it was recorded. He denied everything. He claimed he barely remembered the woman. When detectives asked about the missing files, he blamed old owners. When asked about room 15, he said it was just another room. But his phone told a different story. Cell records showed his phone moved toward the back service road at 11:22 p.m. He said he never left the office. The time matched the moment after the loud sound guests reported. When confronted, he paused too long before answering. Then he asked for a lawyer. That silence spoke louder than words. Investigators searched the area behind the motel. They found disturbed soil near a fence line, but no body. Heat and animals had erased many signs. Still, they collected samples. Anything was better than nothing. The motel owner was questioned next. He claimed he bought the property cheaply and never asked why. He said the place had a bad reputation when he arrived. He blamed previous owners. But detectives noticed he avoided eye contact when room 15 was mentioned. As pressure grew, the motel suddenly closed for renovations. Room 15 was boarded up. That decision angered police. They believed it was an attempt to destroy evidence. By the time a warrant was issued, much had already been changed. Paint covered old marks. Carpet was replaced. The window frame was gone. The case hit a wall. Without a body, charges were difficult. Without witnesses willing to testify, everything depended on small details and timing. Detectives feared the truth was being buried piece by piece. Yet one fact remained clear. Too many stories pointed to the same room. Too many files disappeared. Too many people avoided one simple number. Room 15 was not unlucky. It was useful. And somewhere between old records and fresh paint, the real story of what happened that night was still hiding, waiting for one mistake, one confession, or one piece of evidence strong enough to finally force the door open again. 3 months after the disappearance, the case was running out of time. Public attention faded, but detectives refused to let it die. They believed one hidden mistake could still break everything open. All they needed was proof that someone else had been in room 15 that night. Investigators returned to the phone records. The woman's phone had gone silent at 11:03 p.m., but another signal appeared minutes later. A short outgoing call was made from inside the motel at 11:21 p.m. to a prepaid number. The call lasted 12 seconds. The number was no longer active, but the timing matched the loud sound guests reported. That detail changed the direction of the case. Cell tower data placed a second phone inside room 15 during that call. The signal then moved toward the back service road and disappeared near the highway. It was not the woman's phone. It belonged to someone else. Police traced similar signal patterns from past nights. The same phone appeared near the motel on several dates, always late at night, always near room 15. Whoever carried it knew the area well. Detectives expanded the search to nearby businesses. A gas station 2 miles away had cameras facing the highway. Footage from 2:14 a.m. showed a figure walking fast across the lot. The person was carrying something large, wrapped in dark fabric. The face was hidden by a hood. The person placed the object into a truck and drove off toward the desert. The license plate was unreadable. Investigators showed the footage to the night clerk. He claimed it was not him, but his build, height, and walk matched closely. When asked why his phone's signal matched the second device, he said he had lost his phone weeks earlier. Records proved that was false. Under pressure, the clerk changed his story again. He admitted knowing about the camera blind spot. He admitted room 15 had a loose window latch, but he denied harming anyone. He claimed someone else forced him to stay quiet. Police searched his home. They found motel towels, cleaning supplies, and a pair of women's shoes buried in the yard. The size matched the missing woman. Dirt tests showed traces similar to soil behind the motel. Still, there was no body. Prosecutors warned detectives the case was fragile. Without a body, without a clear cause of death, charges might fail. Investigators had to be careful. One wrong move could end everything. The clerk was released while evidence was reviewed. The motel owner sold the property weeks later and left the state. Renovations erased more traces. Time continued to work against the truth. Yet one thing gave detectives hope. A witness came forward quietly. A former truck driver said he saw someone by the service road that night. The person was dragging something heavy. When headlights passed, the person froze. The driver thought it was junk. Now he was not so sure. The statement reopened the case. Search teams returned to the desert with new focus. Ground-penetrating tools scanned areas missed before. Each signal raised hope, then disappointment. Still, investigators believed they were close. They knew someone had made a mistake. Phones do not lie. Patterns do not lie. And fear always leaves a trail. The only question left was simple and dangerous. When the truth finally surfaced, would it be enough to speak for the woman who never came out of room 15? 5 years later, the case remained open, but unfinished. Files sat on shelves. Photos faded. Yet room 15 never returned to normal use. The motel reopened under new management, but guests were quietly steered away from that door. Staff said it was under repair. Locals said it was cursed. Police knew it was neither. It was evidence. Investigators continued working in silence. The night clerk was questioned again, but he never confessed. Without a body, prosecutors refused to file charges. The shoes found in his yard could not be proven to belong to the missing woman. DNA was partial. Soil samples were inconclusive. Every path forward ended in doubt. The family waited. They marked birthdays without answers. They replayed that last message again and again. "I feel unsafe," for words that still echoed through the case. Detectives believed the message was sent moments before control was lost. Fear had been real. Danger had been close. In 2021, a new tip arrived. A hunter reported disturbed ground deep in the desert, miles from the motel. Search teams responded quickly. They found old fabric, badly damaged by time and animals. No remains were recovered. The location was noted, then added to the growing map of unanswered leads. Cold cases do not sleep. They wait. Investigators reviewed everything again. The camera outage, the service road, the second phone signal, the missing logs. All arrows still pointed inward. Someone with access. Someone comfortable in the dark. Someone who knew how to clean, how to wait, how to stay quiet. Room 15 stayed sealed. In 2023, the motel was finally demolished. Before it came down, police walked through one last time. Walls were bare. Floors were cracked. In room 15, sunlight fell across the empty space where a bed once stood. Nothing remained, yet everything was still there. A detective placed a marker on the floor where the sound had likely come from. He closed his eyes and listened. No noise. No movement. Only wind passing through broken windows. He knew this was likely the closest they would ever come to the truth. The case was reclassified. Not solved. Not closed. Unresolved with strong suspicion. The night clerk moved again. Changed jobs. Changed towns. He stayed out of trouble. The law followed him quietly, waiting for one slip, one word, one witness brave enough to speak fully. For the family, justice meant something simpler. Knowing. Knowing where she went. Knowing she mattered. Knowing she was not forgotten. Every year, Her name is read at a small vigil. A candle is placed beside a photo taken months before the motel. She is smiling. Alive. Real. Room 15 no longer exists. The door is gone. The walls are dust. But the question remains, heavy and unanswered. She checked into room 15 seeking rest, safety, or escape. She trusted a place that promised shelter for one night. She never came out. And until the truth is spoken out loud, the silence of room 15 will continue to accuse everyone who heard something, saw something, or knew something, and chose to look away instead. Investigators believe answers still exist, buried in memory rather than ground. Someone remembers a sound, a face, a moment that felt wrong. Cold cases break when guilt grows tired of silence. Until then, the file stays open, the questions stay sharp, and the warning remains clear. Places do not kill people. People do. And sometimes, they hide behind ordinary doors, waiting for time to protect them, never realizing time can also bring them back into the light. The truth still waits in shadows.